Now, the American President Donald Trump's big Gaza takeover plan has set shock waves that are unparalleled, that are turning so many paradigms in their head. Donald Trump himself calls it the answer to decades of conflict and problems in the region. As the Arab world and the residents of the Gaza Strip itself are up in arms at the idea of another historic displacement of the Palestinian people. The question, of course, is, what does Donald Trump even mean when he says that he wants to take over the Gaza Strip for the long term? Take a look at this report.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site. This was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent.
He even named it the potential Riviera of the Middle East. Trump said he would even move in U.S. troops if needed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No longer the off-the-cuff remarks President Trump made earlier on cleaning up Gaza. It's clear he's serious this time. The immediate implications are huge, even unfathomable. The U.S. taking over Gaza amounts to the most radical upending of the White House's established two-state position on the Israel-Palestine question going back to 1948. It throws to the winds the international law that bars forcibly transferring populations, and it will likely have a significant impact on the phased ceasefire and hostage release process that's at a critical juncture. For Netanyahu and Israel's far right, the situation turns into a win-win of sorts. Expelling Palestinians has been an old call. They've often vowed to re-establish Israeli settlements in the Gaza Strip. Smotrich and co. see Trump as a fulfillment to stop a threat to Israel. But on the ground in Gaza, it's quite another story. Residents returning home to rubble after months, nearly without exception, refuse to leave what they call the land of their fathers. Many are already a displaced people, and they refuse to go this time.
Trump's remarks are illogical. We have lived through war for a year and 4 months, and then he comes and says we should leave our land. This is our land and the land of our ancestors. It is difficult to leave it or for him to bring another people to populate it. That will not happen. We will not leave our land or our country.
Arab leaders have categorically rejected Trump's idea. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, the UAE, Qatar, the Palestinian Authority and the Arab League say that such a move could threaten the region's stability and risk expanding the conflict. And that extends to the Hamas leadership.
We strongly reject President Trump's statements regarding the deportation of our Palestinian people from the Gaza Strip and regarding the United States' control over the Gaza Strip. These statements reflect confusion and deep ignorance about Palestine and the region. Gaza is certainly not a common land, and it is not a property that can be bought and sold. American bias towards Israel and against our Palestinian people and against their just rights continues and is confirmed by such statements.
Back home, Democrat leaders have labeled Trump's plan a new disaster in the making. Some even warned that it would lead to slaughter of thousands of U.S. troops and decades of war in West Asia. A paradigm shift like no other. But can it resolve dark clouds that hover relentlessly over this region, or only end up compounding them? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to help put things in perspective, we are joined in this broadcast by Mr. Elijah Magnier. He's joining us live from Beirut. Mr. Magnier is a veteran war correspondent and a political analyst with more than 35 years of experience covering the Middle East and North Africa. Mr. Magnier, thank you very much indeed, sir, for taking time out and speaking to us here on WION. And let me start off by asking you this. You know, this announcement that was made by Donald Trump has taken a lot of people by surprise. Egypt and Jordan, the two nations that Donald Trump is hoping will take in the Palestinians so that the Gaza Strip can in fact be cleared of the Palestinians. They have said that they will not play ball with the Americans. What do you think is now likely to happen here on in the Gaza Strip?
Thank you for having me. I don't think the plan of President Donald Trump is feasible for many reasons. First of all, the owners of the land are not really willing to give up on their territory, even if they are relocated to Florida or to any other country, because they have not done that since 1948 and still claim their right of self-determination and the right of return. Secondly, President Donald Trump has indeed proposed relocating 1.8 or 2 million Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt and Jordan and other countries. But he is not aware that he's violating international laws and human rights norms, because he cannot force displacement and transfer of any population according to the 4 Geneva Convention of 1949, Article 49 and Article 33 prohibit the occupying forces from transferring civilian population into an occupied territory or any other territory. Also, the United Nations Assembly Resolution 194 enshrined the right of return of the Palestinian, not another exodus. And the last point here is having 2 million Palestinians in Egypt or in Gaza, that in Egypt or in Jordan, that will destabilize Jordan or Egypt.
Interesting. You mentioned that expelling the Palestinian population from the Gaza Strip to take over the land violates international law. But the fact that the United States of America has backed the Israeli war for the last 15 plus months clearly shows that the Americans are not interested in adhering to international law. But the question that I also want to ask you is this. So far, America, the various presidents, had been saying that they believe and insist on a two-state solution for this Israel-Palestine conflict. With what Donald Trump has now said, does it mean that the United States is making a clear departure from a two-state solution and is looking for a one-state solution in the land, in the Holy Lands?
You are absolutely correct. The Americans have been championing the two-state solution since the Oslo 1993, Oslo I and Oslo II 1994. And the Palestinians should have had their state in 1999, but nothing happened. And we have seen the Americans only talking about the two-state solution, why the Israelis are occupying the West Bank, even the Zone A that is supposed to be under the Palestinian control. We've seen an expansion of the Israeli occupation forces control in the West Bank, the grab of more land by the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, and we have seen an inactivity, no action from the US. So we have President Trump, who is more honest and saying things as they are and saying, well, a two-state solution is not a solution because this is not something that I would like to see, which is not a habit of the American to really state their mind and say what they're really thinking and not give us all the titles about humanitarian laws and international laws. Now, President Trump doesn't believe in two-state solutions,
right,
but he's not going to manage to impose one state as Israel because there are 7 million Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, and they intend to stay there. After 15 months of war, they remained in their place and in their territory and refused to leave.
Indeed, you've got to give credit to Donald Trump for saying the quiet part aloud of American diplomacy. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Elijah Magnier, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.